Are you considering a move to Florida and want to know the true cost of living here? In this video, I'm going to break down every cost associated with living in the state of Florida. Hi, I'm Ryan Zachos. I'm broker and owner of Zachos Realty Design Group out of Sarasota, Florida. I'm over here on the Gulf Coast. We have an office in downtown Sarasota and downtown Venice on Venice Island. Started this firm with my father, who's a retired police officer with the Sarasota County Sheriff's Office. I was born and raised here in Sarasota, and I currently live in Lakewood Ranch. And I wanted to take my knowledge of selling real estate and living here for my whole life and give it to you what the true cost is in living in this area of Florida. So let's dive right in. So obviously the largest cost associated with living anywhere in the United States is going to be housing. The average real estate or the median real estate cost in Florida is $400,000-ish. And here in Sarasota, Manatee County, it is $500,000. I am going to give you a breakout based off if you are buying a house that's average here in Sarasota and Manatee County, so Lakewood Ranch, Venice, Sarasota, wherever you're looking at buying. If you buy a house for $500,000 at a 6.5% interest rate, that principal and interest is going to be about $2,500 a month. If you take $2,500 a month, then our real estate taxes here are basically going to be about 1.25% of that purchase price. Obviously, if you're living in Lakewood Ranch or a new community, there might be CDDs associated with that, but we're going to not worry about that right now. Those CDDs could be about $2,000 a year in additional costs, depending on the purchase price, the community. There's a lot that goes into that, but just kind of have that in the back of your mind that there could be an additional CDD cost if you buy new construction, more into new development here in the area or anywhere in the state of Florida. The cost of taxes on that is about 1.25%. For buying a house of $500,000, we add that tax bill to it. That's about $6,200-ish a year in taxes. And then we're gonna do insurance on top of that. Insurance can vary greatly. I mean, it could be as low as $1,000 for buying a condo or a villa where maybe the community has insurance, or it could be as high as $10,000 plus, depending on the size of the home, the age of the roof, the age of the components of the home. I mean, there's a lot that goes into insurance. I would say the average cost of insurance on a normal home in the area is probably right around $2,000, $2,500. And that's for, something that's not super old, but not super new, kind of right there in the middle. And, if you're buying a new construction, it could be even under that. It could be under $2,000, but that's a side note. Just kind of going off of that notion that your homeowner's insurance might be around $2,000. Now here in Florida, if you live in a flood zone, you are required, if you're carrying a mortgage, you are required to carry flood insurance at the same time. Also, side note, if there is some areas in Florida where insurance companies are not insuring, so Citizens is being the primary insurance carrier. Citizens just rolled out something where if you have Citizens insurance, you're still not in a flood zone, or you're not in a flood zone, you are still required to carry flood insurance. That's going to be kind of rolled out over the next 4 or 5 years with Citizens. You might want to take that in consideration. Flood insurance can cost somewhere between $400 or $500 a year to all the way up to, again, $10,000 plus a year, depending on, are you beachfront? What's the surge? What's the elevation? What's the age of the home? How expensive is the home? The cost of the home? A lot goes into that, but in general, if you're looking for a primary residence that's in an AE, so like a low risk flood zone, you're probably going to be under $1,500 a year. Flood insurance, that's not a guarantee. You don't necessarily have to have flood insurance, and not everything's in a flood zone here in Florida. There's actually the majority of real estate in Florida is not in a flood zone. There's a misperception or misconception on that. Let's keep going. The cost of insurance we talked about, the utilities, electric bill in Florida, even though the cost of running electric is lower in the state of Florida than a lot of other states in the US, the reality is we have to run electricity a lot more throughout the year. Cost is actually higher than the national average on the electric bill side. I would plan on something in that $250 a month range. And again, that's a home that can go up dramatically in the summer if you have a pool, if your home is large, if you have an older unit. There's a lot of things that can go into the cost of electric. What are you running on the electricity? Where I live, the water heater's on gas. That's not on the electric bill. It kind of depends on where you live and what is actually being run on electricity. But I would say that your electricity is $200, $250 a month, because there are low months in the winter and then the high months in the summer. Kind of opposite if you're up north, obviously, but here we're not running the AC in the winter when it's really nice. The water, about $100 a month. Gas, about $75 a month if you have gas. And then there's the vendors that take care of your home, your lawn care, It's going to be about $100 a month for lawn care and maintenance. And then your pool, again, $100 a month, maybe 75 if you can find a local vendor that's servicing other pools in the communities. And then obviously cable and internet, that's probably going to be similar no matter where you're at in the country, but I would plan on about $125 a month for cable and internet here. And then you're going to have other costs of living in your home, like your CDD fee, like we talked about up front, or your HOA fee if your community has amenities and you're in a community that has an HOA. With all that being said, I would plan on, if you're buying a $500,000 home, about $4,000 a month in total cost to owning that home and operating on a monthly basis. Next thing is your vehicle. Obviously, if you own your vehicle outright, then you have no cost associated with owning that vehicle, except for your insurance and gas. The insurance in the state of Florida is the highest out of any state, I think, in the United States. We have the most uninsured drivers here in the state of Florida of any other state, I believe. That makes the cost of insurance go way up because there's a lot more risk with the insurers. The average cost of insurance per vehicle is, I think, around $250, $300 per car or per vehicle. So take that into consideration when you're looking at moving here. And then obviously gas, again, is on the lower half of the spectrum regarding the cost of gas in the United States. You have your really high gas states like Hawaii, California, and then you're really low, which are some of like the Midwest and southern, southeastern states. We're kind of on the lower end of the spectrum, but not at the bottom of the cost of gas. If gas is running anywhere between $3 to $5 a gallon, maybe $5 in California, and $3 in the cheapest state that it's offering it, we might be at $3.30, $3.50, something like that. Gives you an idea of what the cost of gas is there. And then taxes, we talked about some taxes, things that great selling point of Florida is there's no state income tax. We talked about the property tax already, and there is a sales tax. The state is 6%. Local jurisdiction varies on local jurisdiction, but in the typical is about 1% for that local jurisdiction. So sales tax of about 7% for pretty much for the state of Florida. And then obviously if you're getting paid, you're going to have a Fed income tax, you're going to have a Medicare tax, you're going to have a Social Security tax. Doesn't matter what state you're in, you're going to get hit with those taxes, but you do want to calculate that if you're looking at your gross income versus, what your net income is and how that applies to your cost of living. But just know the sales tax is about 7% here in the state of Florida. The rest is going to be off your salary no matter where you're at in the country. Next thing is food. They say the average grocery cost per person in the state of Florida is about $350. I have a family of four. Find that to be probably pretty accurate. Unfortunately, some of our grocery stores, my favorite grocery store in the world is Publix, but Publix is known to not be a cheap place to shop. So you're paying for convenience and for the pleasure of shopping there and some of the offerings that they have, but the cost is definitely not great. You could definitely save some money if you went to some local markets. Like here in the area, we have Detweiler's, and there are some other lower options, whether that's a Walmart marketplace or Aldi's or something like that. There are some options that are lower price point. Definitely take that into consideration. And then obviously the cost of eating out, that's going to be probably pretty similar. If you're on St. Armand Circle, you're downtown Sarasota, in these high traffic, high retail, high vacation spots, you're probably going to have a little bit higher of a cost to dine out than you would if you were just in the heart of Sarasota or even in Lakewood Ranch or something like that. So you can take that into consideration, but it's nothing that's super appalling. There are just as many very affordable restaurants as there are high and fine dining restaurants here in the area. So you can find something that fits your budget for going out. Other necessities, they're your cell phone bills, health insurance. I think, again, that kind of goes on a national spectrum what that might look like for you. I'm projecting that the total cost of living here on the Gulf Coast of Florida is somewhere in the neighborhood of about $6,000 a month. If you are taking that $6,000 a month and you need to support you and your family off of that, you probably need to be in that income bracket of about $95,000 a year based off of the Fed income tax, the Social Security tax, and Medicare tax that comes with that. You take all those taxations into consideration. There is no state income tax, which is a huge savings benefit if your primary residence is here in Florida, but you still probably going to net around, just over $6,000 a month at a $95,000 salary as an employee for someone here in the state of Florida. That gives you a good idea what that looks like, and it's just a rough idea. Obviously, those things can go up and down based off of insurance, real estate costs, and other things that I talked about in this video, but wanted to give you at least a good idea, a good overview of truly what that cost might look like if you're looking at relocating here. I hope this helps. If you have any questions at all, I'd love to be a resource. Feel free to reach out, ask me any questions, shoot me a text or call. I look forward to talking to you soon. Thanks.